Hello everyone. In this short video, we are going to discuss with you about question 6 and 7 for the diagnostic tests of the AP Computer Science examples. So first, let's check about the class. There's one public class which is called tester, and instead of this tester, there's a tester arrays, which is an integer array which contains three elements, 3, 4, and 5, and there are three public methods for operating the array or do some other operations. For example, the first method is called increment. It receives an integer which is called n and increase the values of n. So this one line of code which is called n++. Okay, and for the second method, it's called the first test method. Basically, what it did is just to use index I starting from 0 to test the array length, because the tested array is an array variables instead of class tester, and we use these indexes to going through all the elements inside the text array, and we pass the content of test array of index I to the method increment. After we pass the element, later on we do some print for printing out the test array of index I to see what is the difference once we pass the test array I instead of the increment method afterwards. So there are another second method is called the second test method. In this part is a little bit different comparing to the first test method, because in the first test method we declare the index I, which explicitly listed the index of the elements that we need to get access for the array test array. But for this second test method, for the for loop we use specified iterator method, the grammars for iterating all the elements of an array. So it becomes int element followed by symbol and followed by test array. Again, inside of this for loop, we only do two things. First, we pass the element into the method increment. The second one, we print out the element to see if there is any difference after the increment of the element. Okay, right now we have the original content of the test array to be set to be of three integers, 3, 4, and 5. Can you imagine once inside of these testers, when the first test method is executed, what will be printed out? And is there any difference if the same input, that is the array 3, 4, 5, pass into the second test method, and what will be printed out? So let's see. Question 6 is that what output will be produced by invoking the first test methods for a tester object? Do you have an answer? We can tell you the answer is 8. That is 3 for 5. And what's your answer to the question 7? What output will be produced by invoking second test method for a tester object, assuming that the test array contains 3, 4, 5? Because the second test method might be executed after the first test method. That's why we like to specify assumptions that the test array contains 3, 4, 5. Is there any big difference between the answer for question 6 and question 7? Actually, we can tell you that for both questions, the answers are the same. That is, they are 3, 4, and 5. Why is that? Because when we code increment method, when we pass by an input with integer value, and also we do some n++, but that n++ operation is only valid inside of the method. So after we exit the method, that is, after we call the increment method, later on there's no storage or memory inside of the program. of any possible changes inside of the method, and there's no like restoring back procedure that has been signed. So which means that no matter in which case that we try to iterate through all the elements inside of this test array, after we use the system that out that print line, nothing will be changed. So for these two questions, they are A, 3, 4, and 5. Let's see question 8. Okay, let's see what's the description of the question. In the description of the question is, consider the following loops as where n is some positive integer. We see that there is a for loop with integer I starting with 0, and once a under the condition I, which is less than n, with increment I becomes I plus 2. So as long as I is less than n, it will grow with an even number. And instead of the for loop, there is also some if condition. If conditions for some specific task that has not been implemented or introduced so far, then we will do perform some action. Note that the blocks of this perform some action does not mean something that should pass by the test. I think it's not just a one-line code. So let's see what's the question once we observe the code. So in terms of n, which Java expressions represented the maximum number of times is that this box enclosed by star, showing that perform some action could be executed. So okay, first I think we can start with some trial. So if we assume that n is equals to 1, then what will happen? So that is I started with 0, and we know that 0 is less than n. So we let I, it becomes 2. But then at this case, we do perform some action. If n is equals to, so for this case, when n equals to 1, the answer is 1, right? Now, when n equals to 2, what will be the case? So when n equals to 2, there is also only one possibility, because I start with 0, and later on I becomes 2, but since 2 is not less than n, so for such a case, the perform some action also is only executed once. What does that mean? That means when n equals to 1 or n equals to 2, the results of the execution times, the maximum number of times that perform some actions could be executed, will be 1. So let's check the cases to see A, B, C, D, which one will be filled into that. Okay, so when n is equals to 1, it should be 1, so we don't think that choice A, option A is a good choice, because option A, which means n is equals to 0, n over 2 is 0. The choice B or choice C is some candidates, because 1 plus 1 divided by 2 is equals to 1, and C, n is equals to 1 is okay. But the choice D and the choice E, we can just cancel out. So when n is equals to 2, it becomes 1. Then from this point of view, we can just cancel out the option C, because when n is equals to 2, it only executed once. But C means 2 times. However, B means n plus 1 over 2, that is 2 plus 1 divided by 2 is equals to 1, so which means that should be B. So this is some basic calculation, but as long as you try to use a very small examples, like n equals to 1 or 2, and trying to do some easy cancellations, then you can get easily past the exams of such kind of very simple questions. Okay, let's see what's the concept of the statement in question 9, because the questionnaire looks like a little bit longer. So the description is as follows. A method is to be written to search an array for a value that is larger than a given item and return its index. The problem specification does not indicate what should be returned if there are several such values in the array. Which of the following actions would be best? A. The method should be written on the assumption that there is only one value in the array that is larger than the given item. B. The method should be written so as to return the index of every occurrence of a larger value. C. The specification should be modified to indicate what should be done if there is more than one index of larger values. D. The method should be written to output a message if more than one larger value is found. E. The method should be written to delete all subsequent larger items after a suitable index is returned. We can see that the choice D and the choice E might be some very keen programmer. He or she might do. But I think the concept for this question is that trying to give the correct advice for those programmers, as long as the problem specification does not indicate what should be returned, then we should do nothing. Otherwise, when the specification added, you probably have to modify a lot of the code that you might have spent a lot of time working on that. So basically, it's just I think it's just a concept question. So that is the correct answer is C. The specification should be modified to indicate what should be done if there is more than one index of larger values. Okay, so here is a brief explanation of the answers and also how do we think when we're trying to solve the AP Computer Science problems between question 6 to 9. If you are interested in please contact us. We have provided website and also links within this video. Thank you very much. Bye.